Okay, so we're gonna start off lying down, lie down on your back, and have your strap or your towel nearby. We're gonna use a strap and a block as usual for today's class. All right, so just start first by finding neutral for your pelvis. You're not tucked, you're not arched, but you're in that sweet spot so that your pubic bone and your frontal hip bones are on the same plane. Go like that. The block goes even across them. So that's a good way to judge. All right, I take the block off to the side next to my right hip. Now I try to maintain that neutral pelvis as my right knee comes in. Are you able to do that? Or does your lower back flatten and your pelvis twist? Then stretch your left leg out. So it's just a real basic, just teaching your pelvis to hold that. All right, then change sides. So bend both knees. Can you bring the left knee in, or is there too much tension in the front of the hip? You might even only be able to hold the back of the leg. So just start to pay attention. We want to be able to practice stability and movement. And then slowly start to stretch the right leg without the pelvis torquing. Then set that foot down, take the right leg straight up in the strap. Okay, to get the foot in the strap, you might lose the pelvis a little bit, but then reset it and let the right hip crease release down and away from you as you stretch the left leg out. I should move the block so you could see better. Let the right thigh bone plug into the socket and release down. So these Supta Pada and Gushtasana exercises, these are stretches. These are great to do after you exercise. So lots of people ask like, oh, I want like a specific thing. I do jujitsu and I want to stretch, or I do tennis and I want to stretch after. Yeah, there's like all kinds of little things that I would do like for your specific, if a tennis player, they mess up they have to do these stretches for the wrist because of the torque on the racket, or golfer has to do. But these are just great stretches that anybody can do after any exercise. Take the block up against your right hip and then start to open your right leg off to the right. Bring your leg back up and change legs. Bend your right knee, take your left leg up. All right, so the pelvis loses its neutrality a little bit. Find it again, Switzerland style, then stretch the right leg out. Because it's neutral, if you didn't catch it. Then take the block over to the other side. It's pinned right up close to the hip. Open the leg to the left. And this just keeps the pelvis from falling over with the leg. So the right leg stays anchored. I reach to the right heel. My right leg is active. It's not doing Shavasana. It's doing Tadasana actions, mountain pose actions. So the heel of the foot stretches evenly. The thigh bone plugs in. And just notice if there's any restriction across the chest. Let the chest spread as you breathe. And bring your leg back up and release, supported bridge. Lift your hips and take the block underneath the sacrum, which is just above your buttock. Let the buttock fall off so it feels like the sacrum is even on the block. Turn up onto the top shoulders and let the chest open. Then without the butt tucking, bring one leg up into table and then the other. Let the butt continue to drop off. Then if the hamstrings are long enough, you could stretch the legs all the way up or just part of the way up. Then bend your knees, set your feet down, turn the block the other way. Now put the middle of the tailbone on the block. So watch, the sacrum was on the block before, now I'm on the middle tailbone. I hold the middle tailbone on the block and stretch the right leg out. Oh, it's a really nice release through the front of the hip. The hips stretch this way down towards the feet. The chest stretches this way so that I don't hinge at one spot in my low spine, so that the low spine is lengthened evenly. Then change legs. Oh, it's subtle, but it's so nice across the front of the hip. Especially if you have to spend a lot of time seated, like if you sit at a desk job, or you drive a bunch, or you binge watch Narcos or something, whatever your thing is, that you have to spend a lot of time seated. This is good for it. Then bend your knee, lift your hips up, move the block to the side, lower your hips down. Cross your right ankle over your left knee and hug in. Release, change the cross. And then stretch your legs out for Shavasana, corpse pose. Like we've been doing, once the nerves start to calm down, and you feel the body drop, we'll practice breath observation, visualizing the 3 parts of the lungs, and seeing if you can pause at the top of the inhalation, suspend the breath for a moment or two before you slowly let all the air out. And go back to normal breathing. Bend your knees and roll off to your right side. Press yourself up. Bring your palms together. Thanks. Namaste.